Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Lies and Slander podcast. With you, as always, GMB. Well, I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. It's a bit of a special episode. If I get this out on time, it will be November 5th, which marks the 8th year anniversary of my dad's death. So, to kind of commemorate it and honor him, we got some of the family to come over. Kind of a regular on the show by now, my brother Blaine, and what I was very excited about, my grandma, Nan. She came on. The memory's not what it used to be, so she doesn't get a lot of the stories, but she fills in what she can. The majority of the storytelling tonight is going to be my mom. She has the gift of gab. She enjoys talking. So you'll get a lot of her. She's pretty funny, though. I think you guys will enjoy her. But yeah, we just figured I wanted to do something. It's a real bummer every year when this comes around, so I figured let's do something... Let's do something fun. Let's remember some good times and shit. So, hope you guys enjoy. Listen up. Here it goes.
Lies and Slander, the podcast.
Well, welcome everybody to another Lies and Slander podcast. With me today, my little brother, Blaine.
Good day.
My ma, Linda.
Howdy!
And my grandmother, Nan.
Hey.
Where are the accents coming from? What's happening?
Hello.
Well, alright. Mother, everybody would like to hear the first time you met Father.
I don't know where I went. I was dating a guy named John something. Can't even remember his name.
Fitzmore?
We were going to Night in Old San Antonio, and Stuart was going to go, and a guy we called Biscuit.
Wait, how did you know Stuart was going to go? That's where
because
you met
he was
him?
friends with John, and I hadn't met Stuart yet. I hadn't been with John long enough. I think I only dated John for like 3 days.
This was what event?
Her the first time she met Dad.
No, the event. Where the Night at Old San Antonio?
Night in Old San Antonio.
Huh.
And Stuart said he would drive. No, John drove. Biscuit was a big old fat guy that rode in the passenger seat, and it was just a one-seater truck. And I had to sit on what was going to be your dad's lap for the ride down there, and we drank and partied all the way down there.
You? Well, this was in 53. I must have been 20.
I must have been 15 years old.
15 or 16.
That's when you met Dad? Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
You still look like Brandon back then. What the hell was wrong with Dad?
Because Brandon's a good-looking guy. So is his mom.
You're a good-looking guy, too.
Better mustache than Brandon.
We'll go on with the story. So you sat down and on his lap.
I sat on his lap the whole way down there, and the guy that I was dating, John, told your dad, "Oh, tell her some stories and whatever, make his wiener pop up." And I was like, "You're so disgusting." So we get down there, and your dad, Stuart, and Biscuit went to get tickets, and John already had tickets for us, and your dad told him, "Don't leave us. We want to stay together. We're riding with you guys." John and me took off in the gate, and later on met up with them at another gate, and I was totally plastered, and I didn't want to get in the truck with John, and your dad carried me all the way down the river walk and threw me in the back of the truck and then rode home in the back of the truck with me.
So Dad was a date rapist?
Not if you're willing.
So the very first thing, your memory of Dad, was you cheating on your boyfriend?
I didn't cheat on my boyfriend. I had no sex with him. Your dad picked me up and put him in the truck. Put me in the back of the truck because I was drunk. And then he called me. I went down to the coast with a friend of mine.
How old was Dad at this time?
32.
Your dad was 16 or 17.
And he had a truck already?
Your dad got to drive any vehicle that Nana had in the driveway, and he rat raced everywhere.
Do you remember the truck that they're talking about, Nana?
Pop's truck.
Yeah. My dad.
Oh, okay.
No, your husband.
Well, Pop, Dad, same thing.
No.
I know.
Well, he's
Terry.
our papa. Her pops.
I see what she's saying.
Yeah, I do too.
He rat raced everything, so I went to the coast, and me and Sherry met some more guys down there, and we drank and drank and drank and have a good time, and then Sherry made me ride with one of them back to San Antonio, and I didn't want to give him my number, so Sherry called me that night and said this guy wanted to go out with me, and I said I don't want to go out with him. Me and Carla walked down to Castle Golf and Games. Your dad came down there.
Down.
The guy from the coast had come down there, and your dad was super pissed off. And I walked outside and I said, "What's your problem?" And he says, "You never even gave me a chance." And I said, "I didn't even know you liked me." And he goes, "Well, yeah, I like you. I want to go out with you." I said, "Okay, pick me up at my house at 7 o'clock the next night."
Dad sounds like Gomer Pyle.
Well,
You never gave me a
he
chance.
showed up at 7 o'clock the next night. I had brought nothing. And I said, "What are we going to go do?" And he goes, "Oh, we're going to meet up with some friends of mine." And I didn't know his friends, really. And he goes, "We're going to go do some hell raising." So I said, "Well, don't you think we ought to stop at the store and get some, like, eggs and toilet paper?" And he was like, "No, we're going hell raising." And I
So
went,
I see that
I
you're-
went, yeah, but I went to Churchill High School. So Churchill High School was more or less the preppy,
The ones
What-
that think they
the-
were better than anybody.
Man,
wealthy-
chiming in.
wow, the wealthy kids had
go
it
to
better
Churchill?
off than the people that went to Lee, and they
And
actually
and
did.
our dad went to Lee. Nan, you went to Lee. How was
I was
Lee?
the first graduating class from Lee.
She was there when Lee taught.
Were you guys
He taught on a horse and buggy out in the field.
were you guys considered the low class ones and they were the high class ones?
No.
That's why you have a rivalry, or
Does that school have a rivalry?
I think so.
They had a big rivalry
They,
at that
they certainly
time.
had a cavalry.
Rivalry. I see Calvary. That's good. Robert E. Lee, Churchill.
Anyway, his idea of hell racing was he pulled a BB gun out from underneath the front seat, and we shot windows out of cars all night.
Go on.
So that was a big shock for me. I didn't know if I wanted to date your dad again, but it was exciting. It was more exciting than eggs and toilet paper.
So you're saying that the girls love bad boys?
I think girls love bad boys to a certain point.
I
want
personally
somebody
hated
who's
the movie.
I
Yeah,
want
I like
somebody
Bad Boys
who's going to
1 more.
stand behind me, and when somebody talks shit, they're going to have my back. They're not going to just ignore it.
I'd rather just ignore it.
Yeah.
That's what Gandhi said. Turn
Well,
the other
that's
cheek.
that's why I had 3 kids, because I knew out of 3 I'd get one that'd stand behind my back,
And that one's single.
and that one's
Nice.
okay. So
Nan, do you have any good memories of Dad when he was a kid, when he was racing quarter midgets or whatnot?
We just went all over the place with following them around and taking them around. My dad had built their cars and kept them up, and we went all over the place with them.
Did he win big
Yeah,
ever?
they did win.
Was he ever like a national champion or state champion?
They were. Each one of them had it at one time.
Each one meaning my
Right,
dad
right,
and,
and
and Uncle Stephen?
Stephen, yeah,
Stephen and Stuart?
yeah, they were all good.
Well, that's cool.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
What'd they do other than that? Do you have any...
That was their main thing, is the quarter midgets.
Well, that's tight. Well, go on. I don't know. Blaine, you got anything?
Oh yeah. I have a pretty good story of. So you remember when I used to walk around barefoot everywhere?
I do.
And I'd walk around fucking everywhere I went. I had fucking rock solid feet.
That's gross.
And I preferred it too. And I remember I was walking like 3 or 4 houses down from the house we grew up in, our house. And I was over by Eddie's house. And I was running and I felt a crunch on my foot. And I was very confused because it felt very strange too. It felt like somebody pushed as hard as they could with their thumb on the bottom of my foot. It didn't necessarily hurt, but I could definitely feel the pressure. And then I just kept running. But I was hearing tink, tink, tink every time I hit the ground. It terrified me. So I immediately stopped and sat down on the ground and looked at my foot. And there was no blood or anything, but I saw the head of a bolt about 1 inch circumference. It was huge. And it was just stuck in the bottom of my foot. And I started to run on it, and then I got a little bit scared that I was going to push it all the way into my foot, so I kind of hovered my foot and ran all the way back to the house. And, I hobbled back to the house. And so I get in there, and I show my dad. My dad, just the way he looked at the bottom of my foot, and he saw what it was, his eyes got all big, and it freaked me out, so I start crying. And he starts to pull on it, and I could feel it coming out from my foot. And he was like, I'm going to have to unscrew it out of your foot, or we're pulling meat with it. And he kept saying that, and I was like, just get it out. He's like, you're going to get meat coming with it. And so he sat there for, if I remember correctly, like 15, 20 minutes unscrewing this bolt out of the bottom of my foot. And you could see in his face that he did not want to be doing this because it was making him very uncomfortable and kind of gaggy. But he kept having to unscrew it and eventually got out.
And that's what's so funny about that story. If your dad heard Brandon or you or Brent vomit,
Or anybody vomit.
or
just smelled shit,
or anything, he'd be in the kitchen. You'd hear. It was great.
How he took the bolts out of your foot was a lot like how when we were playing football that one time in the front yard, and somebody tackled Brandon into this like pile of random wood that was in the front yard for some reason, and Brandon started crying. We're like, "What's wrong?" And like he lifts his head up, and his head is stuck to all the wood. It's because there was just a random nail that got shoved into like part of his skull, it didn't go all the way through, but it pinched it. And Dad was like, "Oh shit!" and like stepped on the wood and grabbed Brandon by the head and yanked his head out of the fucking nail. And Brandon was like, ah! Then we went back to watching football, or playing football.
Well, when we take any trips over to Nanny and Poppy's house or anything on the other side of town,
Nanny
which
and Poppy
wasn't very long.
They are your parents?
Yes, Nanny and Poppy were my mom and dad that lived off of Vance Jackson. And we were coming from the northeast side, close to O'Connor Road. So whenever we take trips like that, which I say they're long because with 3 boys they were always long. They couldn't keep their hands off each other. We thought of games to play.
No homo.
And we had been over at my parents' house, and when we left, we started going down the highway, and the boys automatically started fighting, and then everything got quiet. And Stuart said, "Hey, Brent, if I gave you $10 if I picked my nose, would you eat my booger?" And Brent said, "No." And he goes, $100. And they were all like, "No." And so Stuart got up to $1,000, and Brent said, "No, I ain't eating your booger for $1,000. And then it got real quiet. And then a little hand came up and tapped Stuart on the shoulder. And Stuart goes, "Yeah?" And it was Blaine. And Blaine said, "Dad, I'll do it for free." That was so funny.
And then he did. He was very happy he did.
Hey, it was the black sheep looking for approval.
You were a hungry little boy. That's what it was.
Well, Brandon was, and I was washing the dishes one night. I had made dinner, and then I went in to wash the dishes. Your dad had gotten home, eaten, and he went to the back room and started watching TV and had his underwear on. He was laying on the bed. And Brandon and Blaine, we didn't know we were going to have twins until I was 7.5 months pregnant. Brent was a twin,
you
but
should tell the story about how you guys found out.
We had lost his twin brother, but we didn't know it was even a baby.
You didn't lose it, like, you just misplaced it. It was in like, you set him down in the mall. Whatever. Trevor wasn't that good anyway.
Shut up. So they were at the age, all my kids walked before they were 1, and they were out of diapers. And they were off the bottle and off the pacifiers. They were good kids as far as that goes.
Which is ironic.
Except for after I got Blaine and Brandon off the diaper, I found out that they weren't using a diaper because they'd wake up every morning and they'd go out in front of our TV and piss and crap out there. So we didn't have to buy diapers.
Yeah.
I also wasn't off the bottle.
You were still on the tit.
Yeah.
It just wasn't hers.
It just wasn't your mother's. Anyway, I was in the kitchen washing dishes. Stuart was back in the bedroom watching TV in his underwear. And Brandon started crying, screaming bloody murder. And he was going boo, 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 and holding up his finger. And I said, Stuart, I'm washing dishes. Can you take care of Brandon? He's crying. So Brandon's saying, boo, 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 boo. And Stuart said, Brandon, come back here. Come back to the bedroom. So Brandon went back to the bedroom, and the next thing I know, I turned off the water, and I could hear Stuart back there throwing up and cussing. And Brandon comes running out wide-eyed, and I'm like, what's going on? So I went to the back room. Stuart said, that little son of a bitch wasn't saying boo-boo. He was saying poo-poo. He had it on his finger, and I kissed it.
That's gross.
And he was back there throwing up.
How did Dad, how did he propose to you?
Actually, this is not a good story.
Well, you're 6 months pregnant. I think it's about time.
No. I had already had Brent.
Oh, shit.
We were at Stuart's grandmother and grandfather's house, and we were in my car, and it was the only car I ever bought myself, and I was paying for it, and if anybody wanted to use it, they had to ask. Well, we had gone over to his grandparents' house, and I told Stuart that I had to go to the bathroom. And I went to the bathroom, and when I came out, Stuart wasn't there. And I didn't think anything about it. I sat down for about 10 minutes thinking he was outside in the pool or something. And then I went and looked out at the pool, and then I went and looked in the driveway, and my car wasn't there. And then I started getting mad. We didn't have cell phones back then, so all I could do was wait. So the more I waited,
on the CB.
The more I would get pissed off at him because he wasn't there and he was in my car. And he comes home, and I said, where the fuck have you been in my car? Why did you take my car without my permission? Blah, 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 blah. And he says, because I went to get you a box of candy. And I said, now tell me another goddamn lie. Why would anybody go out and spend an hour getting me a box of goddamn candy when there was a store right down the street?
Man, a suspicious woman. It's almost
I opened up the chocolate and my ring was in there. And that's when he asked me to marry him. And I thought, God, I almost blew that.
So how did you say yes?
Yes, I'm sorry.
I assumed you just threw the ring to the side. You ring it as chocolate. You shoved it in your face.
Yeah, no.
This chocolate's fucking used.
How'd the wedding go? Did you have a big ceremony? Nan, I see you shaking your head. No,
we had no. We really didn't have any money. We had nothing when we moved in our first apartment together, and we decided to get an apartment together before we got married. And Stuart was working a job for a diaper company, making $5 an hour, which was good pay back then. And
what did he do at the diaper company?
He'd go collect the dirty diapers from the adult retirement centers or whatever.
Reusable diapers?
No. They were diapers, cloth diapers he had to pick up. They were in bags.
Did he ever deliver diapers, like fresh diapers?
Wait, so what did they do with the diapers? Just throw them away?
No, they took them back and they would wash them and then
so it's a reusable diaper. That's what I said.
Recirculate them. Yeah.
All right, so he picked up poo diapers. That's a weird job for a guy who can't handle smells or gross sights.
Well, yeah, but
Just
it
every
paid
day.
good money. Paid good money at that time. Your dad kind of learned his lesson, though. He got to know the people at the different nursing homes, and he told me there was this one old lady that would come down in her wheelchair to meet him every time he came. And she'd greet him and stuff, but when he would go to leave, she would take a diaper and throw it at him. The first couple times she did that, he'd turn around and say, "Do you need some?" And she'd go, "Do you got any cigarettes?" And your dad would go, "Sure, I'll give you a cigarette." And then after that, he started buying her a pack. Every time he'd go to that nursing home, he'd buy her a pack and give it to her.
Oh, contributed to her death. That's
Smoke up, Johnny. That's funny. So you guys he's working there. You were living in an apartment, and the wedding is coming up?
Wed.
Well, I mean, it really wasn't. We were going... Oh, I do not want to say this, but I guess it doesn't matter anymore. My God, kids are having kids at 12. I had been with your dad for 5 years, and we didn't think that I could have kids. It's not that we didn't take precaution. We didn't think I could have kids, so we
He was
started...
pulling out left and right.
Yeah, pretty much. So we started being less protective. And I got sick about 3 months before our wedding was supposed to take place.
That Edelman jizz will do that
And found out that I was pregnant with Brent. So Nanny and Poppy, who are my parents, told me to move the wedding date up. And she made me my wedding dress. And she wouldn't let me have white. It had to be peach. And we had a wedding with there was probably 50 people there.
to you. Didn't you have a dress picked out?
I had a dress picked out. It was a beautiful dress. If you ever watched the movie Bachelor Party with Tom Hanks at the very end when they get married, it's her exact dress. I paid $100 for it. They couldn't let it out enough for me. At that time when I got pregnant with Brent, I weighed 128 pounds. And just with Brent, I went from 128 to 236. I got back down in weight to 150, got pregnant, didn't find out until I was 7.5 months pregnant. They told me I was having 3, but they told me the third one was a shadow, they thought. But I definitely had twins. None were girls. I went from 150 with the twins to 232 and started getting down in my weight and got to about 170. And I said, fuck it. Every time I get thin, I get pregnant, I'm eating. So I did. And I blossomed. Like a beautiful flower.
It doesn't say anything about the dress. You just went off on a tangent.
The dress was peach. It was a satin.
How was Dad in the lead up? Did he help plan stuff?
And Dad wore a suit that he had.
How did you feel about your youngest boy being whisked away by some trollop from the good side of town?
Not up to me. It's up to him. And
Sounds like you weren't happy about it.
no, I mean, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to be an ugly mother.
What would you have said if you were going to be an ugly mother?
Get the fuck away from her.
But now she's your daughter-in-law for 40 years.
You suck.
No, I always have liked your mother. She's been.
Were you
my
happy
friend.
she was going to be your daughter-in-law
Sure.
when you first heard?
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, when me and your dad would break up throughout the years, she's the one that would tell me the sluts that he was bringing over to the house.
Yeah, I told you get your ass back to him.
Get your ass back.
Back to him.
She tells everybody I'm her daughter.
That's right.
I'm not her
I'm
daughter-in-law.
my daughter. She's my daughter. I raised her.
With some hell raisins.
I think you could have raised her a little better. I'm just saying.
Do you know what? If a combination of your dad and me wouldn't have been combined, my 3 lovely boys wouldn't be here.
Yeah, that's usually how that works.
So you're not really saying anything about me or your dad. You're saying something about yourself.
You lost me there, lady. What are you talking about?
And this
God, I need
concludes
some
our session.
coffee. Or maybe some cocaine. Something a little less potent.
What are you talking about? You're just blabbering on.
Okay.
Do you remember there was this time where we were riding dirt bikes a whole bunch, and Aaron had just this kid from the neighborhood, Aaron, had just got a newer dirt bike, and he was showing it off, and he was all proud about it. And Dad was like, "Oh, that's cool. Let me check that out." And he got on it, and he was hauling ass around this little thing of trails that we had by the house. And there's like a little jump at the end. You can get going pretty good, and you can clear some distance. And Dad was wearing not cowboy boots, like work boots, the ones that don't have the strings in them. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And sweatpants, and then just like a button-up shirt. And he fell, like he jumped the bike, went a little sideways, kind of started to fall off the side of it, then bailed off the side of it, but held onto the bike, so he was kind of getting drug. And the ground ripped his pants off, and he's butt-ass naked underneath. He's not wearing any boxers or anything, so he's getting drugged with his ass out across the ground in front of like 15 people, just full throttle. It was hilarious, and he got up and was like trying to pull his pants up. he was so, I'm sorry.
When I was pregnant with you, I decided for one of our anniversaries I was going to rent a four-wheeler, two four-wheelers, one for his friend Carl, who we call Mo, and one for him so that they could go ride in the four-wheelers, and I'd just go out there and sit in the back of the truck and watch them. And your dad didn't like to go slow anywhere.
Weren't they
He
three-wheelers?
always liked to go fast. Maybe it was three-wheelers, I'm not sure. It was
dangerous.
just something that they could have fun with. So we go out to this open field, and of course your dad goes full throttle on the son of a bitch and didn't realize that it wasn't just a flat meadow, there was a cliff. And he fell off the cliff right into, and this was within 15 minutes we had been there. Those things were expensive to rent. Fell right into a patch of cactus.
Cacti.
We sat on the back of the truck. Well, I sat on the back of the truck and picked cactus burrs out of his ass for at least an hour.
Just you focused on his ass that long, huh?
You didn't have that much ass.
And it's pretty hairy.
That dude had
Surprisingly,
one ass.
no, he didn't. For being such a big dude, he had such a little ass. He was like Hank Hill. He was always sitting on his spine.
Hey, tell the story of when he was under the car.
Oh, he was so. I guess the city came in and like redid our street, and when they did that, they did our driveway also, and they made it like a ski slope. It's so steep now. And he was out there, had a car on some jacks, and he was, working on it or whatever. And I heard, I could hear him go, Brent! And I was like, I was inside watching TV. It's me and Stinky, and we're just hanging out. I'm like, fuck, he wants me to go out there and help. I'll go out there in a minute. And I kept hearing it. He's all, Matt! And I was like, God damn it, fine. And I opened the door, and I was like, what do you want? And there was like some random dude at the driveway with him. And he's like sliding out from under the car. I was like, what do you want? And he's like, fucking car fell off the jack. It was laying on me. I'm screaming for help. You guys are looking through the window and laughing at me.
We weren't anywhere. We didn't even hear him. We had the door shut. We were in the house. He was working on the damn car. He accused us of that forever. Said that we were standing at the door laughing at him. We weren't laughing at him. We didn't hear him screaming.
You weren't even there.
Well, he said that, and then
Well, he
I
said
was watching him out my window. It was fucking hilarious.
I looked out the front door, and I was like, fuck, he wants some help. That's all I did. I didn't laugh, but looking back on it, I should have laughed because it's funny.
well, I will tell you a story about Stuart. An occasion and his mom thought it was just hilarious, and she's here today.
Yeah.
Stuart and me went out partying, and Stuart got way too drunk, and I was drunk too. I can't say I wasn't, but he was a lot more drunk than I was. And when we pull up to the house, my mother-in-law is watching the kids, and they're already asleep. And so I go in and I said, I need your help getting him out of the car. I can't get him out of the car by myself. I have my hair in a ponytail. And our driveway's always been steep, but just not as steep as it is now.
This when you're a big old fatty, right?
I was heavier than I am now.
Big old fatty.
Shut up. And so his mom went out and helped me get him out of the car. And what she did to help me was she held his belt loops to his pants in the back. And Stuart held my ponytail with his full weight. I was balancing him. He was going to break my neck. And I kept saying, he's breaking my neck. He's going to break my neck. I couldn't even talk. He was pulling my head back so far. And his mom was just sitting there laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing. She thought it was so funny. And I was like, pick up his goddamn pants, you bitch. And we got him inside the house. And she goes, let's get him to the bedroom. And
First he fell.
I said...
He fell in the hallway.
I said,
dead.
And he fell in the hallway, and I said, leave him there. Just leave him there. At least he's in the house.
I remember being there for a while.
And Nan goes, no, let's get him up. So we got him up, and I made her take the lead on this one.
Wait, before you go, there was, right before that, he was laying on the ground in there, and I knocked over somebody's purse on it, and he attacked it. Like it was an animal trying to go at his throat.
Yeah, whenever he'd get drunk, it was like trying to wake somebody up from a nightmare. He'd just start swinging. So I told Iris that I was going to leave him. That's my mother-in-law. I told his mom, I said, I'm leaving him in the hall. And she said, no, let's get him back to the room. So I said, okay. I got the back of his pants this time. You take the front.
Wait. Nan, for those who don't know her, you should probably, she's an older lady, not very mobile at this point. You were a fatty at this point too, right?
Yeah.
Big old fatty, you got bad knees, not very mobile, to say the least, right?
Yeah, and so she gets in the front of him, and she picks him up. He grabs a hold of her ponytail this time. I got the back of his pants, and she's leading him down the hall, and I figure she's got him, so I'm going to let go of his pants. And she's saying, he's going to rip my goddamn head off, and I'm just laughing my ass off thinking, that's what you get, bitch. You didn't help me. So they get back to the bedroom, and we had a waterbed, and she went to lay him on the waterbed, and the minute he hit that waterbed, he pounced up, and he started swinging. My mother-in-law jumped on the bed and was trying to run away from him.
With his eyes closed. His eyes were closed the entire time. And she jumped up on the bed and like high-stepped across the waterbed as he was trying to follow.
Yep.
I've never seen her move that fast. She was like Jackie Joyner Kersey out there. That was my running noises.
Yeah, he got real drunk one time, and when
he tripped. He tripped going over the bed and hit his head on the dresser, and then you guys just left him on the side of the bed.
Yeah, at that point, both of our necks were broke, and we were having triple bypass surgery because we smoked and we were fat. So,
nice that
but we always had, I mean, me and his dad went out drinking, we were invited to a lot of parties, had a lot of friends.
At least 3 a year.
And we got drunk one time, and I was peeing in the front yard, and he was...
How old are you at this point?
Yelling, shoot the gooks. And I don't know why he was saying that, but the boys came and got us in. And then he got drunk one time, and this is when the city had come in, or the county had come in and cut our driveway back. They left a gully on the side of the driveway, so there's no grass there. It's just like a ditch. It's probably 2 foot wide. And I got out of the car, and, I was going up to the house, and I thought he got out of the car. Well, he did get out of the car, but he passed out in the gully. And I didn't want to leave him there, so I called all the boys, and the boys couldn't get him up.
So I'm going to stop you right there.
The only one that wasn't there was Blaine.
Is this a different story? Because I remember y'all coming home, Dad falling in the gully, me going out there alone, you saying I got pee-pee, and then you peed in the front yard while going the whole time.
I don't know if it was
picked Dad up, and firemen carried him to the house.
That was the time I'm talking about, but Dad fell in the gully. Him and Brandon there was like Josh and Shady, and y'all had a couple other friends over there trying to pick Dad up, and y'all couldn't do it, and then you called Blaine. Blaine came out there, and y'all hoisted Dad up, and Blaine got him in a fireman hole.
I wasn't there for this.
Yeah, it was me picking Dad up deadlift from the ground. I got him up into a sitting position. I got him up into a standing position. Then I got him on my back, and I lifted him and fireman carried him into the house.
And this was
by myself.
He was probably like 300 pounds at this point.
Yeah,
right?
and I took him all the way back into his room and laid him on the bed. And then when he hit the bed, he started mumbling about weird things, like they're coming, lock the door, and stuff like that.
He did that all the time. I think he got that from your grandfather, though, because, like, when your grandfather was still alive, his stepdad would drink about a 6-pack to a 12-pack of beer a night and go to bed real early, like 8 o'clock,
No,
8:30.
he would buy a 6-pack, but he wouldn't drink it all.
No, but he had beer before he came home from work.
No,
'cause
he
he didn't want Nan to know. Yes,
No,
he did.
So for a dude who drank all the time, he had no alcohol tolerance.
Oh, so Nan was
Yeah.
back in the room one night, and she was sound asleep, and he had been asleep for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours. And my mother-in-law woke up to water hitting her face, and when she opened her eyes, he was peeing on her nightstand. It was hitting her in the face.
You remember this, Nana?
Yeah, it's a
Remember
audio show.
Dad and Steven and you boys and Alan and Rhonda went outside to play baseball. We were playing softball out in the front yard at Nan's house, and Pop said, "I'll be the catcher." And he sat in the chair,
he sat in the...
and a ball went right through his hands, and he went, "I got it!" And when he did that, the whole chair fell backwards, and all you could see was his legs.
and he was not happy that we were laughing.
We did have some really good times. I mean, your dad came home drunk to Nana's house one night.
Every story starts with your dad.
And I said, my mother-in-law asked, "Do you want to feed him?" And I said, "I don't give a damn if the SOB eats or not. I don't know where he's been." So she, of course, catered to him and made him a bowl of spaghetti and put him at the table. And the next thing I know, he's sound asleep in the bowl of spaghetti. And so she's worrying that he's going to kill himself because he can't breathe because the spaghetti's going to be going up his nose. And at that point, I just didn't care.
Noodle?
We had a lot of fun. We stuck together, and we also stuck by the kids, like when we went to school and stuff.
I remember fucking time when I was at school doing, they had a, what the fuck was it? What's that? The Mexican holiday.
It's Day of the Dead.
Not the Quinceañera, the other thing, the May 5th. Cinco de Mayo.
Taco Bell.
So,
It's a little racist.
damn, man. The Cinco de Mayo thing, and they had this, like, shitty punk band there, and we're standing out in the courtyard, and we're, like, kind of bumping into each other, but nothing real crazy, and we're just joking around, and this fucking broad, Miss Rosstorn, she was a real bitch.
I fucking hated her.
Yeah, she's a real bitch, and her claim to fame was she was a contestant who lost on American Gladiators. I think she scored -2.
She made us watch that video when I was in boot camp.
She's
She was
a bitch.
She was the principal of boot
I
camp.
could take her. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, you couldn't take her in a race.
I think I could.
That bitch was fast.
She looked like a goddamn black ostrich.
No, she didn't. She was short.
Those are called reverse albino ostriches. Man.
Yeah.
That's a little fucked up.
Oh, okay.
The Revillalago ostrich. Anyway, so we're jumping up and down, and she comes over and makes a big deal about how we can't mosh or whatever. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I turn around and I pick up my backpack, and she goes, "I just told you can't do that." And I was like, "Pick up my backpack?" She goes, "You got a smart mouth. You're going to the office." All right. So, I'm not like, all right. It's me, so I just kept talking the whole time. I figured if I kept talking, then I was right. So I kept talking, and they sent me, like, I'm in the office with my friend Fat Guy, and we're hanging out during the whole lunch, because that's when this took place, was at lunch. And every time I keep hearing her on the walkie-talkies, and she's like, "Yes, smart mouth boy over there thinks he's real cool. See how cool he is when he misses his lunch and shit like that." And I was like, "Oh, you're a lying bitch." Like, I just kept saying stuff. And the secretary was like, "I'm going to tell her what you're saying." I'm like, "I don't give a fuck. Do it." So when they come back, the lunch just ends, and she's like, "Lunch is over. They can go to class now." I was like, "I'm not going to class." And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm gonna call my parents. I'm not gonna go to class. This is bullshit. She's like, good. I hope you call your parents. I want to talk to them. So I was like, all right, cool. So I call the house, and Dad answers, and he's like, I was like, hey, Dad. So we're jumping up and down into each other and stuff, and this like bitch comes over and she says, I'll give him the story.
They said he was trying to create a riot.
Inciting a
That's
riot.
not what they said to me, though. And
they called me at work.
Well,
she did.
No, she didn't, Mom.
She did call me at Home Depot.
Mom.
Yes, she did.
Mom, you're putting yourself in the wrong story. You were at the house. You might be thinking of Blaine. You were at the house. Okay, I'm not going to argue with you because I remember the story. So I called Dad, and he was like, I was like, can you come get me? He's like, yeah, no problem. And I was like, oh, yeah, this bitch wants to talk to you. And she's like, oh, what did he just say? Did you just say bitch? And I was like, yeah, do you want to talk to him? And I kept trying to give her the phone, and she wouldn't take it. So I was like, well, all right, I guess this bitch don't want to talk to you, Dad. Just come get me. And I hang up, and she goes, oh, you think you're slick? You're going to hang up? You get him back on the phone. I was like, all right, I'll get him back on the phone. And he answers, and I was like, here, Dad, this bitch wants to talk to you. She gets on the phone, and she like changes her whole attitude. And she's like, hello, sir. Yes, this is Miss Ross Torrin up at Judson School. Your son. And my dad was like, he goes, are you the bitch that's talking, that's, what do you say, is it you're the bitch that's messing with my son? Something to that effect. She's like, sir, I don't need the name calling. And then he's like, well, don't be a bitch then, basically. And so they come up here to get me. And, mother here and father roll together because she was at home, and they come and get me, and so me and Dad and Aaron are just standing outside in front of the office waiting for Mother here. If you can take over the story from here.
Is Aaron leaving too?
Okay, I was at Home Depot and I got a call at the returns desk, and it was Miss Rostorian, and she said, this is Miss Rostorian from the school. And I said, which one did what? And she said, your son is trying to incite a riot. I said, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And she said, we're having a little festival up here for the kids, and we've got a little band up here, and he is trying to start a mosh pit. And I said, he is jumping up and down. And yes, they did.
They didn't have your number on file.
And I said, so you're calling me at work because my kid's jumping up and down? And she said, yes, ma'am, you need to come get him. So about that time, I had to ask for time off. Stuart came down and got me. We went up to the school. Stuart and me went back to the office and got Brent out of the office. He went through. I had a friend there that worked there in the front office, and her name was Miss Allen. Tony Allen. And I sat there and I was talking to her, and about that time I see this black lady and the police officer go to the window where Stuart and Brent were jumping up and down outside. And she tells the officer, she says, well, that's the father, but I don't know where the mother is. And I said, I'm the mother. And so then her tune changed again, and she goes, well, I am Miss... And before she could even get out, I said, I know far too much about you to want to meet you in person. I'm taking my son now. And I walked outside, and Aaron wasn't even involved in any of this. Aaron was a kid that lived around the corner. But when we left, she had the guard follow us out, and Aaron looked at us, and he goes, can I skip school? And I said, sure, come on. His parents didn't even know he skipped school. He just stayed at our house. We didn't care. Mm-hmm. You're not going to learn anything if you put a kid inside a damn classroom all day and don't teach him anything.
The other part of that story that I was hoping you were going to tell is we were jumping up and down outside, slamming into each other, being awesome. And then the cops followed us out, and Dad kept making snide comments to him because the cops were assholes.
And we got in the car, radio.
Yeah, and put on fucking Ice-T's Cop Killer, and put it all the way up and drove out of the parking lot like teenage badasses. It was sweet. Do you remember when we went to Golden Corral and we were being, youthful and having fun and stuff?
Happy birthday.
And that was Ryan's.
Oh yeah, that was Ryan's.
We're laughing and shit, and Dad got up and he's like, shut the fuck up! And we just keep laughing, and he grabbed his plate and he was like, positioned his arm in such a way that he was going to throw it, and he was like, "Shut the fuck up or I'll frisbee your ass." And we lost it, and then he just walked away all pissed off, and we laughed about it for like years. I still think about it and laugh.
They did a lot of stuff, though. I mean, his dad came pick me up at work, and we came home, and when we got home, there were kids on our roof, and I was like, what in the hell is going on? And me and his dad get out of the truck, and we walk around the side of the house, and the oldest one, Brent, has got a mattress pulled out there on the side of the house, and they're doing wrestling jumps off the roof.
Not wrestling jumps. I was jumping off the top of the thing.
Yeah, it was really...
It was fun as shit, though.
We never knew what we were going to get every day.
It was fun as shit.
We had a lot of fun. He was a truck driver, and we went in the 18-wheeler. We owned the trucking company. And we went in the 18-wheeler, and we had a split run to Washington, D.C., and then one up to a half a load to Buffalo, New York. And when we were in Buffalo, your dad got out of the truck. We were at a junkyard. Your dad got out of the truck, and nobody was around this great big building. And I was in the truck, but there was a gun in the glove compartment. I didn't know how to hell use it. The windows were rolled down, and your dad went in the warehouse, and for about 15 minutes, he just left me sitting there, and then this big guy comes out of the door and starts walking straight for the truck. And when the guy comes straight to the truck, he gets up on the steps of the truck, and I still don't know what's going on. I'm scared. And he said, "Are you looking for your husband?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, he's in there. They broke into the office bottle, and he's in there drinking some Seagram 7. He goes, "Do you want to go in there?" And I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah, I'm ready for a drink. You just scared the shit out of me." We had a lot of fun. We went and partied with them that night. Made a lot of nice friends.
You should tell the story about filling up the cup while Dad was driving down the street and trying to get rid of it. Speak up.
Oh, yeah. When we were in the 18-wheeler, we couldn't stop, never could stop. God, your load has to be there yesterday. And so I had told Stuart, I said, "I have to pee." Well, he kept going. And I said, "Stuart, I have to pee." And he said, "Why don't you just do it in one of those Bill Miller cups?" So I got in the bunk of the truck, and I peed in a Bill Miller cup. And then I brought it up to the front of the cab, and I don't know why in the hell I didn't throw it out my window, but I went to chunk it out his window, and when I did, his window was rolled up, and it hit the window, and piss went all over him. I don't know why I did that. I thought his window was down, but oh my God, it was awful. And then he took Brent on a trip with him, and they had only gone for a couple nights, but he said...
It wasn't even a couple nights, it was overnight.
It was overnight.
We drove...
Brent shit and vomited all over the...
You don't kill the story. Oh. You tell the story.
Okay. Tell it.
Well, now it's ruined. You've ruined the entire show.
Anyway, he shit and vomited all over the truck.
We drove up to Dallas, and I was fine all the way up there, and then when we got there, I started feeling sick, and I threw up outside, and then I was sitting in the truck and I shit myself. And then I took my boxers off and I was sitting in just shorts, and then I threw up, and then I shit myself again. And then so I had an extra pair of shorts with me, so I was wearing those, and then I shit in those and threw up on my shirt. So I had one extra shirt, so I'm sick as shit, and I'm laying in the back, like the bed of the truck, sleeping, and I don't have bottoms on, and I just have one big ass shirt, and I slept like the entire trip back, and I woke up and I had shit on the wall of the truck.
It was all over. It looked like his ass had exploded in the cab of that truck.
Yep, it was gross. It was really, really shitty.
And Stuart was so white when you guys pulled up, because he was like, "Oh my God, it stinks awful in there." And I was like, shit, it might be just worth the trouble buying a new truck.
Nan, what did you think when you found out you were going to be a grandma for the first time?
I was excited.
Were you hoping for a boy or a girl?
I wanted a girl.
Me too.
How'd
And then
you...
get Brandon?
What about...
No, actually, I had Brent. He was a boy, and I was happy with him. He was so cute. He looked like little Mr. Magoo.
Still him?
And then I had you guys, the twins, which were unexpected. And
And
you
unwanted.
always say that about, I did want a girl. I wanted a boy and a girl, and instead I got twin boys. But what you guys don't understand is I dressed you like girls until you were 2.
I believe it. I mean, Blaine still dresses like a girl.
Nan can verify that.
No, she can't.
Did I dress them like girls till they were 2?
Yes, and I kept saying you better start dressing them as boys now.
And she never did. She never did.
Never.
Nan, how about... How'd you learn that you were gonna have Dad?
Do what?
Like...
When you got pregnant with Dad.
How'd you
with
learn
Stuart.
about it? Do you have the story?
The preacher said I was with child.
It was a
Backseat of a Ford.
It was a voodoo woman on the east side.
It was a cool 1984. No, that's not right. 1884. That's what I was trying to say.
So
Nan's
how'd you find
parents
out?
wouldn't allow her to marry Ben.
You were like, so I'm knocked up right now, possibly. Maybe I
So
should go.
I wouldn't-
I should go to the doctor and find out. And you got the news, and it said, "Hey, lady, you're knocked up." Were you happy? Were you like, "Fuck yeah, I'm gonna have a Stuart," or were you like, "Shit, I'm gonna have another Stephen"? Were you? How'd your parents take it that you were having a Stuart?
My dad wanted a boy.
You already had Stephen.
I know, but he wanted another boy.
So many boys.
Yeah, he'd rather have boys than girls. He raised 2 girls, my sister and myself, and he wanted boys.
Is that your dad? It was my husband, your dad's baby?
No, they were my babies, but he took
Was
care
he
of.
the
Huh?
father?
No,
No, how are you not getting this?
She said my dad wanted another boy.
Yeah.
So it sounds like I'm going
No,
to give you a
you just-
boy.
That's
No,
real dark.
Yeah, Mom really brought this to a place that nobody.
No,
wanted to
listen. I got pregnant. I had you. Got down to 150. Got pregnant with them. All the way through my pregnancy, they were giving me heart rate tests and different kind of tests that I didn't have with Brent. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. Something's got to be going on. Well, 7.5 months pregnant, we decided it'd be a good idea to go. They set me up for a sonogram. They hadn't given me one yet. And 7.5 months is a long time to wait for a sonogram. And we went in there, and their dad, Stuart, was holding Brent, and I was laying on the table. She was doing the machine over my stomach, and she was real quiet. I knew the girl. And I said, Rose, what the fuck is wrong? Because, I mean, at that point, you think they're seeing something wrong. And she didn't say anything. And I said, what the fuck is wrong? Mm-hmm. And Stuart's still standing there holding Brent. And he's just like, tears are welling up in his eyes because we both think there's something wrong with the child I'm carrying. And
there
she
was.
said, Linda, I think there's 3 in there, but I think the third one's a shadow. And I said,
Where's
I
the
turned
light
around,
coming
tears started coming out of my eyes because we weren't prepared. They don't just tell you you're going to have twins for sure, or triplets or whatever. They tell you it's not 2 for 1, so you got to have the doctor totally paid off. You have to have the hospital totally paid off. We had no insurance. We had no anything.
Wait, so they wouldn't deliver the baby unless everything was paid off? What do they make you do?
They'll-
Like,
they'll only
get
do it-
out.
No, they probably make
They'll-
you go to county.
No, they'll only deliver the one baby they paid for.
I'm like, all right, you're sewed back up until you can get to county.
They just pushed you back in there.
So I look over at Stuart, and Stuart's got tears in his eyes. And by that time, after she told us we were having twins, we were both in shock because we weren't prepared for it. But you're never prepared for a baby. If you wait, you're never going to have one.
It's pretty crazy the abortion didn't take on either one of them.
And
You took it dark now.
and Brent was slapping Stuart in the face trying to ask him something because he was just a little baby. And Stuart was just in awe. We didn't understand, because twins don't run on either side of our family. So on the elevator right down from in the hospital, he stood on one side of the elevator, I stood on the other side. I had to be at work at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was pretty close to that. And we didn't talk to each other. We didn't talk to each other on the ride over to my work. He dropped me off at work, and I was crying and crying and crying. And we had been fucking with my parents that I was having twins because I was getting so big. But I just thought it was because I was like, he'd take me to the movies, and I'd have a tub of popcorn and 6 candy bars and 2 hot dogs, and,
That's how you still are.
And my parents were in California visiting my aunt. And when I called them up to let them know I was having twins, I was crying and I was at work. And I told my mom, sit down, I've got something I need to tell you. And she said, what's wrong with the babies? I said, Mom, are you sitting down? And she said, yeah. And I said, we're having twins. And she said, oh, bullshit. Bullshit, you're not. Now, what's wrong? And I said, no, really, we're having twins. So I had to talk my dad and her into it that we were having twins. So later on that day in the afternoon, Stuart called me to find out how I was. And he was like, are you okay? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, I was crying. And I said, I just don't know how this happened. Twins don't run in either side of our family. There's no twins in any of the lines. And at that point in time, he said, oh, I was just good. And I said, I don't remember that either. Was I drunk?
Gross.
And then, and he watched everything. He watched the birth of Brent. As a matter of fact, he stood at the end of the table and offered the doctor $100 to give me a couple extra stitches. He watched the twins, and Blaine was born without breathing, so they pushed him out of the room, and they had to put me in restraints.
They pushed me out of the room and I wasn't breathing?
Get out of here.
Get out of here, you dick.
She said they only paid for the one kid.
This is the room for the live ones.
When I had the twins, Blaine was born without breathing, and they had given me medicine that had knocked me out. And then when I came to, it made you delusional, and it made you fight. So I was trying to get up. I was restrained to the bed, both feet and hands. And Stuart was standing by me, and I could hear him back there going, 1, 2, 3, get the specialist from the 3rd floor. And I didn't know what was going on because I couldn't see him. He was surrounded. And then they took me to the recovery room, and they put me in there with a lady who had just had a stillborn baby. So I was crying. I mean, I didn't know what was going on with my own kids. They just had a stillborn. Why would you do that to anybody? And my dad and Stuart came in the room where I was at, the recovery room. And my dad goes, you doing okay, babe? And I said, yep, I'm doing fine, Dad. Where's my kids? How are my kids? What's going on with my kids? And Stuart said, the babies are fine. They're in the room. And my dad said, you gave us a big scare, honey. And I said, I'm sorry, Dad. And I was crying. And he said, well, we'll be back in a little while. We're going across the street to La Margarita, and we're going to have some shots of tequila. So Nanny and Poppy and my grandmother and your dad and Terry and Iris and Marty and Craig, my brother and sister, they all went across the street and had shots while I was laying in the bed crying.
Well, you had a good run.
And then when I finally got around to where I could get up, I asked to see pictures of you guys, and Stuart's stepfather, Terry, who was a very good man, all he would do is go in there and talk to everybody about how big their wieners were. That's my grandson. Look how big his wiener is. And he took pictures of them, too.
I thought you meant
close-up pictures of their wieners. And I was like, that's kind of creepy.
That's what Jews do. I thought you were saying like he was just going up to random people and talking about their wieners. Hey, it's a nice wiener you got there.
No,
hey,
he
what's
was
up?
talking to other people standing outside the nursery about his grandson's wieners. Yeah, that's my grandson, the one with the big wiener right there.
He wasn't a pedo or anything.
No, he wasn't. He just was. And it's really funny because when we took them to the doctor and they got
Snipped
and tucked or whatever, your dad wanted me to go in there and watch, and the doctor even wanted me to go in there and watch, and I said, I can't do it. I can't watch my babies cry. And your dad comes out and says, I was like one of those new age potato peelers. They just put it on there and went, and the skin comes off. And I went, that's so disgusting. For a man that couldn't smell poop or couldn't listen to anybody vomit, he went in a room and watched his son's penises come off.
Their penises come off, huh?
Well, mostly
that's
Brandon's.
pretty apparent.
Yeah.
There's a good chunk of Brandon's is missing because the guy had a shaky hand.
So wait, when you asked to see pictures of us, did they bring you pictures of us?
There was just our dicks. It was pop.
No, the doctor just drew 2 smiley faces. Well, here you go. What, you colored one of them blue?
That was the one that wasn't breathing. We got to get out of here. We got some hell raising to do.
You see that one with the big nose? He came out first.
No.
The blue fat one is your last one.
And it was
The fat one got stuck.
I think I was smaller than Brandon when I was born, though, right?
Yeah, and Brandon looked
you both
normal.
were. Well, see, when I was 7.5 months pregnant, they told me that I was going to blow any day. That I probably wouldn't go past
The
it.
doctor was like, well, you can't pay for your surgery. You're going to
blow
blow today.
Oh, God. Best story ever. I had Brent.
Sit back.
And I was in the hospital. And I for all the women out there, if there's any women listening to this, they give you what's called an episiotomy when you have a natural birth or whatever, where they have to cut your vagina a little bit so you don't tear. And then they give you stitches, and afterwards when they take you to the recovery room, you have to sit in it's a tub they bring to you, just like a plastic tub, and you got to sit your vajayjay in there and soak. It's got Epsom salts in there. And then you take this. Then you take this. Yes, that night you sit in for like the 2 or 3 days you're in there. You sit in Epsom salt baths, and then they bring a fan in, and you fan yourself dry. It's like an air dry.
After you poop the kid out.
Yes, after you poop the kid out, they cut your crotch while you're getting the kid out, and then they sew you up, and so those stitches will heal faster. You get what's called a sitz bath. And I hadn't met my pediatrician. Well, I had met him one time, and he was a young guy, and I was like, okay. So the nurse came in, and she goes, do you want to do a sitz bath? And I said, yeah, I'll do a sitz bath. She said, okay, take all your clothes off. So I did. And I got in the sitz bath, and completely naked, and she left since I had a room to myself, I didn't have a roommate, she had shut the door, and she left the curtain open, and I got in the sitz bath, and I took a sitz bath, and then I got out, and they had like a fan that sat in front of you that would dry the stitches, and there was no knock on the door or anything, and this old motherfucker comes in the room, and he goes, looks right at me, and looks right at my crotch, and he says, oh, I guess I got the wrong room. And he turned around and walked out. And I was like, oh my God. Some man just came in and saw all the way up to my fucking tonsils. So I'm freaking out. I called the nurse. She goes, well, I don't know who it could have been. And I said, well, apparently it was somebody visiting somebody else and they got the wrong fucking room. And I'm so embarrassed. And about 45 minutes later, this man comes and knocks on the door. And he comes in and he goes, your pediatrician isn't on call tonight. I'm the pediatrician that's on call. So I'm sorry. I did have the right room, but I should have knocked the first time. I was so fucking embarrassed it wasn't even funny.
Oh, so the old guy was the pediatrician. It all
on call.
Nice.
But I was never introduced to him. I was introduced to the young one. So I had no idea who this guy was.
You know what story I always liked? I think you should tell it. The one about the rat that nobody saw.
Oh, that's a fucking bullshit lie. Everybody was asleep. Your dad was even asleep. And we had been there was a rat in the kitchen.
King rat.
And it wouldn't come out.
Wait, there's two rat stories. I want that to be the second one. The first one is the big one. I guess that doesn't really have too much to do with Dad. But remember, there was a big. It jumped. It was big. You were the only one that saw it. We all thought you were a liar. You don't remember this at all?
No.
There was a big ass rat, and all your underwear kept missing.
Oh no!
That giant
I kept
fucking.
I was doing our washer and dryer was out in the garage, and I kept fucking. I would do our laundry out there, and then sometimes I would take some out and put it on the dryer roll. Anyway, sometimes the washing machine would just get left open, and then I'd go out there later on and put them in the dryer. So I noticed that I started missing like underwear and bras and stuff like that. So I was just joking around with the boys, and I kept saying, "Are you guys taking my underwear? Are you guys wearing my underwear?" And Stuart would say, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "I don't know what's going on." Well, I had gone out. We also kept our trash out in the garage too, till the trash guys came around, because the dogs in the neighborhood kept ripping the trash bags open. So I had gone out to unload the washer one night. All of a sudden, a great big fucking rat had jumped from the washing machine to the garbage sack. And I fucking freaked out. And I went inside, and I was freaked. And I told Stuart, "I'm never going out. I'm never doing laundry again. You guys can do your own laundry. I'm never going out there. There's a rat out there, blah, 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 blah." And they were all making fun of me and teasing me and stuff like that.
Well, we went out there
A couple
as a
nights.
family.
Yeah, we all went out there as a family, and there was nothing. So they were all making fun of me. And, there was no rat. Mom's just crazy. A couple nights later, it was trash pickup, and Stuart went out to get the trash in the garage. And he opened the door, and he says, 3 of them were on the goddamn garbage can. They all turned around. They were like, "We're coming after you next, motherfucker." And he, for a big guy, he opened the door, he shut it, and he said, "I'm not going out there to take the trash. You're not going out there to take the trash. Boys, go get the trash."
Then when y'all, I don't know, I guess it got poisoned or whatever. When we found it,
No, we cleaned out the garage. We had made a nest with my underwear and bras in an old lawnmower that we had.
like the grass sack or whatever.
Yeah.
From like tail to nose, it was not small. It was like a cat, like that kind of size. It was like it would have been a good sized possum, but it was a rat. It was gross.
Yeah, and then there was
Terrifying.
one night when everybody was sound asleep, and I was out folding clothes and watching, I think it was The Mouth of the South. Morton Downey Sr. used to be on it.
Junior.
11 or 12, I'm not sure.
No, this mom for
First
this.
one, the
This is the second one, right? With the
Yeah,
no, that was way later. That show was off the air for a while.
I was watching Jerry Springer, maybe. Maybe
Yeah.
that was it. And I was folding clothes out in the living room so I didn't wake anybody up. And all of a sudden I thought we had a cat named Pooh Nanny. And I thought that I had seen him standing on his back legs over by the kitchen table. And so I looked over there, and it was a huge rat. So I started out saying, "Stuart, Stuart, Stuart." And pretty soon it got louder and faster. "Stuart, Stuart, 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 Stuart." Until finally he got up. He had no clothes on. He was bare ass naked with his gun. And he said, What's going on?" I said, "There's a rat. It ran behind the entertainment center." So when we moved the entertainment center, it ran out from behind the entertainment center, and Stuart was like, "I'm going to kill it. I'm going to shoot it." And I said, "No, you're not. The boys are asleep. That'll scare the shit out of them. You're not going to do that." So anyway, it ran underneath the kitchen cabinets, the very bottom part that meets the floorboard. So it wasn't in the actual cabinets. It was underneath the cabinet. And Stuart put a piece of wood up there, and he says, "I've got it blocked in there until tomorrow. It won't be able to come out." I said, "Okay. As long as it's not going to come out, I'm locking our door. I'm putting some towels down by it so it can't get through the bottom." The next morning, I woke up and went to our bathroom in our room. And when I went to our bathroom in our room, I was sitting on the toilet, and I was looking down at the ground, and I saw these little pieces of stuff. And I thought, what is that? It was the carpet from our room. Somehow that motherfucker had gone through the wall in the kitchen into the living room and made it back to our back bathroom and was trying to chew the carpet up from the door into our bedroom to get in our bedroom.
To come get you.
So I woke their dad up and I said, the rat is underneath the sink in the bathroom. It's got to be under there because, unless it's in this room. And he got under there and knocked the wood out. So by this time, all the wood underneath our kitchen cabinets was gone. All the wood underneath the bathroom cabinet was gone. He found it in the corner. He told me and the boys to get out of the room and go somewhere safe. So I took all the boys, made them get in their room. And he shot it bare ass naked on the floor in our bathroom. And then we made our oldest son get under there and get it out.
That was me. I was your oldest
Yeah,
son.
we couldn't do the gross stuff.
You guys also made me get a bunch of dead puppies out of a house in a storm.
That's okay. We buried the wrong cat.
Oh, Mom, you gotta stop burying the story. You should say, we had a cat come back to life. You'll learn storytelling. Alright, well, is there any other stories you guys want to talk about?
Where are we at?
It took a minute. What? Hour 5 or something?
Hour 10.
No, we're fine.
Oh, what was that? Do you remember the story with Dad doing him and I want to say it was him and Blaine or him and Brandon were
Doing
back
blow together for the first time. That's right.
Y'all were they were hanging out in the room and they heard the door open. They thought it was you. Dad walked out like in his underwear.
Oh, wait. Me and... It was...
I was with you.
Me and you I took you to Albertsons with me to get some groceries.
It was more like solo serve, so we were there for at least 3 hours.
No, it was late at night. It was
Albertsons.
Solo
serve. I'm telling you, Mom.
No, it wasn't. It was Kroger's. It was right down the street because they paged me over the intercom, and she said, a customer by the name of Linda Edelman, you have a phone call. So I thought your dad was calling, trying to remind me to pick something up from the grocery store. So I went and I said, what did you forget? And he said, I didn't forget anything. You need to get home. And I said, why? What's wrong? Because Blaine was at home with Stuart sound asleep. And he said, just get home now. The cops are here. So me and Brent got our asses in the car and went home. The cops were there. I went inside to make sure Stuart and Blaine were okay. Blaine was still sound asleep. But what had happened was Stuart was laying back on our bed in the back bedroom, and he heard the front door open, and he thought it was me and Brent coming home. But I didn't come in and say anything, so he yelled out, Linda, and he got no answer. So he said it again, and he got no answer. So he got up and peered around the corner of the bedroom door into the hall, and there was a black guy in a black coat standing by our couch watching TV. So Stuart went back in the room, got the gun, came out, and he told this guy, get the fuck out of my house. And he had the gun pointed at him. And the guy said, give me your keys to your truck. And Stuart said, I'm going to tell you one more time, motherfucker, I told you to get the fuck out of my house or I'm going to shoot you. And the guy said, I'll be back. And he turned around and he just nonchalantly walked out the front door.
Dad should have shot him. Maybe not killed him, but shot him in the knee. I never saw him. I didn't know who he was. I had no idea who he was. The only thing we could imagine was he was so coked up or so methed out or something that he just didn't know where he was, and he had the balls to do that. Because who would do that when they have a gun pointed directly at him? What if it was Stinky from the future and he got a hold of a time machine and went back and he really...
Oh, well, then your grandmother would have jumped in that time machine and she would have shot him.
She doesn't like black people. That is true.
No, it's not as I didn't like him.
Fair enough.
Just didn't like him. He was a jerk.
Well, I guess...
Yeah, skin color sucked.
No, that's not... No. That's
All right,
not it.
well-
She was just a jerk.
Was or is?
Is. I have not seen him in a long time, and I don't want to ever see him.
I don't think you ever will. I don't know where he's staying nowadays, so I'm sure you're good. Alright, I guess we'll wrap it up. Mom, you want to say anything in closing about Stuart Edelman?
No, I met him.
Nah.
I met him when I was 15, and I had a whole lot of love for him, and I miss him every day. And I'm blessed with the things he gave me. 3 PIAs. And that's all I can say.
Pretty inconspicuous assholes.
He left us with an Obosa.
Mm-hmm.
An old bitch in San Antonio.
I'm a hot bitch in San Antonio.
Nobody thinks that.
Maybe a hobosa.
Maybe when you're on fire.
Blaine, any closing...
Stuart Edelman was a good man. He was a man of many words and few words at the same time.
He was from a town of people.
People were in this town. They were good people.
They had
solid
pets.
people. Lots of pets. My father raised every one of those pets. And they became the 3 PIAs.
Or Paz.
PIAs, as we call it back in my town. Thus concludes this story.
All right. Nan, any closing words you want to say about Dad? Stuart?
Obviously.
How do you remember him as a baby?
Do I?
Was he a happy baby?
Most of the time. And then there was times that he was...
Didn't he have a goofy nickname when he was a baby?
Oh, Hellraiser.
Wasn't it like Ratty or something?
Mousy.
Yeah, Mousy. My dad called him Mousy.
Do you remember why?
Mousy.
Do you remember? Do you remember why he called him that?
No, I don't remember why he called him that.
If I remember the story, it was because he the two of them fell asleep on the couch together, and Dad woke up and like wiggled his way out from underneath his arm or whatever, like a little mouse or some shit. Does that sound familiar? Is that right?
I have no idea.
I think that was the story. Well,
He peed on him? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, he got free and then he peed on him.
Yeah, that's what I
And
thought.
he went in the walls. Dad was
Mousy was a rascal of a kid.
Yeah.
Peed on everything, left and right.
all right. Well, Mom, if people want to get a hold of you on the internet, how can they do that?
Mousy!
Facebook. Linda Allen Edelman.
You gave out your full name.
Oh, Jesus, Mom. Tax collectors are coming.
Phone number is 210.
No, don't do that.
I'm just joking.
You would do that.
Blaine, where can people find you?
Instagram. Oh, you know what? Facebook. The Beezy. I think that's what it's called. TheBeezie. And I got the Instagram. I'm not quite sure what it is. I think it's Beezy. ITSBEEZIE.
Well, all right. Nan, would you like to say goodbye to the listening audience?
Yeah.
Say goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye, listening audience.
Well, before we get Nan out of here, Nan, how did you enjoy your first podcast?
Fine.
It was Mousy.
Gift for gab, this woman. She's got a gift for gab. All right, everybody. Well, there it is, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Didn't get too emotional. Nobody cried, so we're pretty good with that. Hope the stories kept you guys entertained and gave you a good indication of what my dad was like. He was a big-hearted dude. He helped a bunch of people out. Friends of mine that needed places to stay, or if anybody needed bailed out of jail or any of that shit, he was always there to help people out. So, he will be missed, but, life goes on. So, as I wrap this up, if you have any questions, comments, anything, memory about my dad, if you know him, if you guys would like to get a hold of us for any reason, you can either go to the Twitter, which is @LiesPod, or you can go to Instagram, Lies_and_slander. Or if you'd like to get a hold of me, you can reach me on Twitter at GMBisAG or at the Instagram Grandmaster Brent. So we'll have some more shows up pretty soon, so just keep a lookout. Thank you guys again, and fuck you later.
Remember when we sat out on the porch and you told me that you were going to bang the guy across the street from my stock pot? And now my stock pot's down here?
What the fuck is a stock pot?
Apparently your butthole.
That's not your fucking stock pot. That's
You
a
put
stock
stock
pot that
in
I got
it,
from Coca.
you get him a
Ridiculous.
pot.
Who even cooks stock?
You're stupid bastard. You use it for fucking big things of soup. I used to have
Stop.
to make the boys.
Can you talk, man? Just say a couple sentences.
Why?
Just talk.
I'm listening to y'all. Y'all just make weird.
We do make weird, and I agree with you.
Weird.
Keep talking, man. I'm trying to get your voice down so I know if it's loud enough. Talk.
What do you want me to say?
Whatever. Just
Hello,
talk.
hello,
Hey,
hello.
you saw Elvis in concert. How much fun was that?
You
It
saw
was
Elvis in
fun. It
concert?
was nice.
Tell the story.
He was on the stage and he sang. And
Where was it at?
This has been a long time ago.
Did
Do
you
you
throw
remember
your
where it was at?
panties at him?
No.
She's like, I wasn't wearing any.
Yes, I do.
Ready. She's